I'm Mike.
And I'm Tani.
And this is an updated tour to celebrate our 1-year anniversary of living in the bus.
So exactly 1 year ago today, we were at the same spot that we're at right now, which is Rock Creek, Montana. And we were celebrating having the bus out for the very first time. We just finished building it. As a matter of fact, our water wasn't even completely installed yet, but we were living in it, and this was our first big trip out. So for our 1 year anniversary, we came back here to refilm a new tour and to celebrate 1 year of living here in this bus. Last year we've done quite a few other tours for other channels and for our own website, but this tour we wanted to make sure that we covered things that we didn't cover before and went into things that you may not have seen in other tours, a little bit more of like the day-to-day nitty-gritty. So instead of cleaning up and putting everything away and making everything perfect the way we normally do when we have a tiny home company coming to shoot a tour, we kind of left things the way that they are when we go about our day-to-day lives, and we're shooting this one with a little bit more day-to-day life in mind. So this front part of the bus would be like a mud room, essentially. We actually just finished it a few months ago. It was one of the last things that we finished. We had to insulate and floor the stairs. Other than that, it's kind of just a catch-all space for like when we come in, the same way that your entry in your house would be. We actually have faux walls that we throw up in these front windows. You can see those on our website. We don't have them now because we're traveling and we love these big panoramic views around us. We do have blinds so that we can still have privacy, but the walls are only there for when we're parked. In the driver's area, when we're not driving, it functions as like a coat room. So there's hooks over there that we can hang coats on, a spot for our hammock chair to sit, my purse. It's kind of just like where we throw everything. Down below, as you're coming up the stairs, we have hooks for shoes so that instead of having shoes cluttering your steps, you can have them out of the way. There's some interesting nooks and crannies up here that we haven't really ever focused on except in passing, so I thought I'd go through those today. So when you first walk in the door, which, side note about the door, my dad actually made it. A lot of the metalwork in this bus was fabricated by my dad, who kind of does metalworking on the side as a hobby, and he custom made our front door out of this rusty piece of metal that I fell in love with, and 2 of the original bus windows. So it's nice and heavy and insulated and gives us way more protection than the original bus door did, but it's still unique and it has those original bus windows in it. The door, on the left-hand side there's the shelving unit, and it's kind of a catch-all. It has hooks for our keys, Mike's art stuff, random things from our travels. There's a lot that just kind of ends up dropped there, but we love having that look of really being living. Same goes for the shelf that I'm sitting on. This shelf generally, well, besides holding a myriad of plants because I'm in love with them, it also holds a bunch of random knickknacks and artifacts from our travels. Like, for instance, on this trip, we found this random wooden carved boot laying by a campfire. So the only other real notable thing up here is that hook right there, which is the holder for our hammock chair. So the hammock chair is dual purpose. It lives right here in the driver's seat. It hangs on one of the coat hooks until we're driving or we need it. So when I'm driving, Mike will hang that hammock chair there, and that's his co-pilot chair, where he kind of just hangs and cruises while we drive along. But it also, if you turn it around, it can work as seating for the living area as well.
This is our living room, and if you've been following us for very long, you've seen it go through quite a few changes. For example, our couch here used to be a lot taller, and the storage was a giant box that basically slid out, but it made it really inconvenient to grab things. So now we have it a little bit lower. We used repurposed wood from our friend's old deck, and then we just have about a dozen baskets underneath that just slide out and under. On the other side of the couch, there's the arm of the couch actually serves as another storage place where we hold a fold-out table that we can both use inside and outside. It actually has 4 small stools that come with it, and that just slides nice and easy back there. And then in here we also have our screens for the windows that we made custom for the bus. Questions we get asked is what happens to all of the things in our shelves when we drive. Obviously, if Tanya were to slam on the brakes, things like the books and crystals and picture frames would go flying off. So we have cargo nets that fit over this, the face of the shelves. And then for the things that we don't have cargo nets for, we have places for them, like inside the steam trunk. One of my favorite features of the bus is our 40-inch TV. Tanya and I like to play video games, and we also like to watch movies on TV like any other family does. And this TV is perfect because it pulls out and can swivel to match the room. So when we pull down that couch and hang the hammock chair, everyone in the audience can see the TV, no problem. We originally built the bus, and for the first few months we had 2 bunk beds here instead of the Murphy couch that's hidden away. But they were really bulky, and they came out to probably about here, which gave us a really narrow aisle. And the kids also hated them, and most people wonder why, but when they were sitting in the bunk beds, you only have so much clearance space overhead, so that neither of the kids could even sit up all the way in their beds. So instead, we came up with this more convenient solution, which better accommodates 2 teenagers on the road, or when we have it built up, it gives us a better living room space. But this mantle folds down and into a bed.
So our kitchen is probably one of our most asked about rooms, so I'm going to do my best to cover every single thing I can think of in this video for all the questions that we've been asked on other videos that we've done. Number one question that we're asked in any video, any situation, is always about the concrete that's in our bathroom and on our countertops out here in the kitchen. It's a product called Ardex Feather Finish. We really should be like ambassadors for this product for as many people as I've referred to it, but it's a great product. So it's a really thin veneer finish. Instead of poured concrete forms, which look awesome but are super heavy, this is just a veneer product, so really lightweight. What you're seeing here, for instance, is just wood forms, butcher blocks style type countertops essentially, that we siliconed and waterproofed. Then we added several layers of the Ardex Feather Finish concrete over it, sanded it down to the finish we wanted. Ours is a little rough because that's the look we liked. And then a food grade sealer goes over the top. Second question that always follows that is, do they crack with as much as you move? We do see occasionally little like hairline fractures appear, generally in places where there were seams in the wood, where the silicone maybe has shifted. It's really easy to fill them and then just hit them up with the sealer. But for the most part, it's a year later, and we are super happy with how this concrete is held up. So we have an Atwood 3-burner range and a Dometic almost full-size fridge and freezer unit in our kitchen. These were a mismatch set that we picked up super cheap. As a matter of fact, our fridge didn't even have panels on it when we got it. My dad, who did our door, also whipped up some panels for these. And we wanted to give them a slightly different finish because when it comes to like RV or Skoolie appliances, your basic 3 finishes are silver, black, and white, and we didn't really want any of those. So we found this metallic rose gold paint in the craft section, and we did a brushed kind of artsy finish on it, and it turned out super well. We've noticed in other tours is that we kind of gloss through everything in the tour and we don't ever really break down certain things. Like for instance, we get a lot of questions about like how much stuff actually fits in your fridge, or like, do you have enough storage in your kitchen? So as for instances for you, this is like a normal average day for us in our freezer. We're vegan, so we have all kinds of like fake meat products, like for instance, Gardein Mandarin chicken, we're huge fans of. Boca burgers, frozen vegetables, and of course, soy ice cream. In our fridge, You'll find a myriad of soy milk, vegetables, tofu, things that we've already cooked, plant-based meats, sausage, all kinds of condiments. It's a pretty decent sized fridge. As far as the rest of the storage in our house, our garbage and cleaning supplies sit in this cupboard. We actually have a junk drawer. It was a matter of principle we decided when we moved in that even in a tiny home you had to have a junk drawer. So this is our junk drawer, which houses things like batteries and screwdrivers and tape and staples and all kinds of random things. Our pots and pans are actually in this open shelving unit underneath the stove. We have 3 drawers here. This one is silverware, this one is the majority of our dishes, and this one is extra Tupperware type style containers, storage type containers. This unit is actually huge. It spans the entire corner, and it's our pantry. It's where the majority of our food goes. We also have towels and pot holders and things in this one, and then this one is the remainder of our food, like mostly my baking stuff is in this one. In addition to all of the storage we have behind our cupboard doors and drawers, we also have a lot of things that are just kind of easily accessible. So we have magnetic spice tins up here, very easy to grab off, use at the stove, turn around and put back. This shelf up here is one of the more recent additions to our kitchen. We just put this in a couple of months ago, and it's what holds the majority of my herbs that I use for tea. Like I mentioned earlier, I love plants. You'll find them all through the bus, and you also find herbs and essential oils all through the bus. So I needed a space to put the ones that I grab for most readily, and that's all up here. There's also, around the other side here, there is an open shelving pantry unit that holds most of our dry goods, lentils, flours, rice, beans, that kind of thing. Is kind of unique because it's completely open shelving. The back of it is actually a mat that used to hang in our old house. It was one of those things that Mike mentioned that we just couldn't bear to part with, and so we turned it into a shelf. But open shelving in a moving bus can be a problem. So the way that we dealt with that particular problem was using elastic cording across the front that allows us to grab things out, but easily put them back in, and it keeps everything nice and neat there without jostling around or falling out, but it's also really easy for us to grab and use. Our kitchen sink is built right into the concrete. It was actually just another wood form that's attached on the underside. So the sink just appears to be one seamless part of the countertop itself. And then we found this super awesome faucet on Amazon that has a separate pot filler unit, and then it also has the hose attachment and sprayer, which makes it really nice, especially because we have a Berkey water filter, which is where we get our drinking water from. And this makes it really easy to set the Berkey here, pull the hose up, fill it up, and then put the Berkey back with no problem. So in the interest of fun facts and things that we've never really put into videos before, we left our kitchen pretty much exactly the way you'll find it on any given day, and I thought I would go through and show some of the things that are regularly out that we use on a day-to-day basis. So over here is a small incense station. When we were in Bali, we picked up the habit of burning incense in the mornings, and so that's something that's always there, along with my mortar and pestle that I use for grinding the herbs. At any given point in time, you will always find a fresh pot of coffee sitting on the counter because Mike and I drink coffee morning, noon, and night. So there's probably always a fresh pot ready or about to be ready when you come over. There's also frequently plants in jars and cuttings that I'm propagating for my plant wall up front there. You'll find our sourdough starter. I just recently got into baking that this year, and so there will always be a fresh sourdough starter bubbling and getting ready to bake a loaf of bread. Or if you're really lucky, there'll be a loaf of bread rising, ready to go in.
A lot about this map wall on the back here. The whole wall is made out of corkboard, and then there's a cork map that we glued onto the front. This is where we pin the places that we've traveled, and in each place that we travel, as you can see, we pin relevant pictures from that travel. If you come around around the side here, you'll see a stack of stools that we use because back here we've also designed a breakfast bar. That way, if we want to eat breakfast here, drink coffee, the kids can do their homework. It's kind of a space for everything.
Like that.
Right here is the Joe Tool stove. That was one of the best finds that we had for the entire bus. A friend of ours moved into a new house, and it just happened to be sitting outside the shed of that house, and we got it for next to nothing. And it's been amazing. It's kept us warm through an entire Montana winter, which is hard to do. Because of the bus and the reduced clearances, we had to really make sure that we were adhering to like all the fire safety rules. So behind this steel frame here, there's cement board, which we then covered in more of this Ardex feather finish cement. And then in front of that is a steel shield that Tawny's dad made. The stove is a built-in concrete box that we built. It holds a couple of days worth of firewood. It just depends on how cold it is and how much firewood we're burning. So one of the most important things that we, as far as convenience decisions that we made, is we put our stove right next to the side door to make it super easy to grab firewood, bring it in. So right here, I'll go out back, grab firewood, and then I can just hand it in to Tawny or set it on the floor. Back from the kitchen and past the stove, you have our hallway, which leads into our bathroom. Because of space, we decided to put a sliding door on here that also has a full-length mirror. This is our bathroom. It's a wet room style bathroom, so everything in here can basically get wet. It's a full bathroom, so it has a shower, a bathtub, a toilet, and a sink. Has gone through a lot of major changes. When we first designed it, the toilet was over there in a little nook, and then we decided we wanted to turn that nook into a bathtub, so we moved the toilet over to this side, cut the sink and counter in half, and then decided that we didn't like the new bathtub we installed, so we filled that in, and now we have a portable bathtub. It used to be a wine barrel. Now it's just half of a wine barrel from California that we can use inside or outside. It also is right under the copper shower head here, which has the 3 units. It has the rain shower head, the hose, and also the spigot, which makes it easy to fill the tub. One of the most important things in a bathroom is storage. Behind our shower head, we have built-in shelving that holds like the essentials like soap and razors and shampoo. And behind our bath, we also have more built-in storage that holds things like bath oils and things like that Tawny uses. And then behind the toilet, we have even more storage, which holds extra makeup, towels, toilet paper, and everything else we might need. Earlier, the whole bathroom is a wet room. So on the floor we have acacia wood flooring, and then the walls are all finished with that feather concrete and seal. Underneath our sink we have a cabinet that holds both our water heater and our water pump. We have an on-demand hot water heater to save on space and efficiency.
The last room of the house is our master bedroom. It's pretty big by Skoolie standards because we spend quite a lot of time back here. About half the time our teenagers are with us. We have shared custody with their dad. So half the time they're here with us and traveling with us, and the other half the time they're with their dad. When they are here with us, they pretty much take over the entire front part of the bus, which is how we designed it. We wanted them to feel like they had their own space. So they have their beds, their lounge area, their own television, all of that is kind of up there. And when they're in here with us, whether we're traveling, whether it's the mornings when they're here homeschooling, whatever the case may be, a lot of times Mike and I will choose to work back here in our bedroom, which also kind of doubles as our office. So we wanted it to feel like roomy and luxurious for us, since we do spend quite a lot of time back here. Actually just finished our most recent remodel. Like Mike mentioned, we took out the big concrete bathtub that we had built into the bathroom itself. And when we did that, we actually walled off that portion of the bathroom, which used to sit over here in the bedroom area. It was just this big wall jutting kind of into our bedroom. We actually totally took that out, walled the bathroom off, and gave ourselves extra space in here because we do spend a lot of time back here, and we wanted to have a window on this other side as well to brighten up the room and give us just a little bit more space back here. So in our bedroom, we have a closet space, some storage space, a window seat, and our bed. I'll break those down each individually. So on the wall opposite me right here is an open closet. We just have a copper bar with hooks. We didn't want hangers because we didn't want to have to dedicate like the actual space that a hanger takes. So we have the same clips that you held our curtains to hold clothes lining up against that wall, and then there's a shelf that runs the length of it. We actually just replaced that and redid that at the same time that we opened up this half of our bedroom from the bathroom. In this corner on this wheel well, there's now a chest that sits where we can put extra like winter clothes, storage things that we don't want to necessarily have in our clothes drawers. And there's now a window on that side of our bedroom, which pulls in a ton more light and makes it super, super nice in here in the mornings. Our bed is done platform style so that there's a crap ton of storage underneath of it. We have three huge drawers. They each measure 3 feet by 3 feet. They're on slides, and that holds the majority of our clothes besides the hanging ones. However, there's also flaps built into the top part of the bed that pull up, and we have a ton of other space around the drawers that's taken up by like camping gear, winter supplies, things that we might need but that we don't need every single day, so they're easily stored under the bed. At the very back is actually where our engine, we have a rear engine bus. A lot of people choose to wall that space off and just completely separate the engine from their bus. But when we saw the shape of the engine compartment, it looked to us like a perfect window seat. So that's what we did. We painted it over, we put in some foam matting and created like a couch cushion, threw some pillows back there, and that's actually now a built-in window seat with the most awesome window in the house back there. So through this roof hatch in the back, you can access the roof of the bus. So on the roof of the bus, right above my head, the back 8 feet, is a built-in rooftop deck. I do yoga up there, we watch the stars. The kids will come up and play board games with us. It's like our outdoor space that travels with us. Looking forward to the front of the bus, the entire middle part of the bus is taken up by 6 large solar panels. One has to be offset because our chimney pipe juts up through the top. And then in the very front, there's actually a cargo rack where we can secure our bikes when we travel so that we have an alternative mode of transportation to like get us around small towns and stuff when we travel rather than having to take the bus absolutely everywhere.
Right below my feet is our basement. So we won't go out there right now because we're parked right next to Rock Creek and it's very loud and hard to hear. But basically under there is everything we need for storage. So we have 2 40-gallon water tanks, our bank of batteries for the solar, and then anything we need for storage like extra camping stuff. Sometimes we load up firewood down there if we're going off grid for a while but need to stay warm, and pretty much anything else we might need. access the underbay storage through 4 different doors, 2 on each side. Unfortunately, when we got the bus, the locking mechanism no longer worked, so we had to design our own.
So one of the first questions, or one of the first comments I should say, that we ever got when we moved into the bus, we did our very first tour right here in the same spot. The bus wasn't even done yet. We had just moved in that weekend when we brought it out. And one of the comments we got was, well, that's cool, but let's see how you feel after a year of living in that space.
Which was a fair comment, but it's been a year, and it's been fantastic. It remains one of the best decisions we've ever made.
We hope we answered all of your questions. We really tried to get all of the little tiny things that tend to get skipped over in like the bigger tours. But if we forgot anything, you can find us on Instagram, on our website, or email info@sincewewokup.com, and we'll do our very best to answer the questions for you. Thanks for coming.
Take care. Nailed it.